I'm Jonathan Randall, and this is How You Like Me Now. So you probably noticed things look a little bit different, and that's because we lost the Bowery studio. It was very sad, but I guess it was this place called the Dow that was invested in crypto, and I guess they really lost all their shit when the FTX scandal went down, and they weren't able to stay open. It was very unfortunate. I really liked that studio. It was really fun to record there. Shout out to my buddy Joey Gay, hilarious comedian, who was in charge of the studio and let me do the podcast there. So unfortunately, the studio isn't the only thing I lost, because I also lost Phil Risden, my producer. But I haven't lost my spirit, so I am still here, and I am taking on the podcast all on my own. I am using a studio in the Lower East Side. It's the same studio that I record the American Jew podcast. I liked having it be a little different and having a different background, but what could you do? You gotta take what you're given, and this is what I got. So here I am recording on the Lower East Side. It's a new year. It's me all by myself now doing How You Like Me Now in a new studio. So I want to thank everybody who's been listening. I hope people will continue to listen, and I hope we'll get some more listeners in the new year. Actually, I hit 100,000 followers on TikTok right before the new year, which was exciting and a little bittersweet. You know, I've been doing comedy for a long time, and it has been my major focus, and it is one of my most things that I'm passionate about. And, it's frustrating to me because I, started making videos about, the human rights violations that the Palestinians face by Israel, and they really kind of took off. And while I hope I'm making a positive difference, it is a little discouraging for me that after doing comedy and acting and writing for all these years, the thing that I'm really getting a following for is my activism stuff. And I don't know. I appreciate all the support that I've been given, and I've got a lot of nice messages from people that made me want to continue thinking that I'm changing people's perceptions of Jewish people. And, I'm being like the voice for the oppressed, and I'm trying to make a difference and have a positive impact on the world, and I want to do all those things, but I also want to just make people laugh. I want to just be a comedian and be silly, and I hope that my fans that I have and my following, they'll also support my comedy, and they also like and appreciate my comedy, and they're not just with me because I'm saying bad things about Israel. And I'm not just trying to hate on Israel. I'm trying to point out Israel's flaws in hopes of Israel improving and being better, because I want a peaceful and prosperous coexistence between Israel and Palestine. I want to acknowledge all the trauma that the Palestinian people have faced. I want to try to, find some sort of common ground, because we really are the same people, and we really just need, to live in peace and harmony together, and we got to stop all this bullshit that's keeping us apart, because I do believe that there are outside factors that are trying to, want us at each other's odds, whether it's, hardcore Christians that think that, the end of days will come, when we take each other out or when we fight, and then that'll bring, Jesus back, and it'll be the second coming or whatever. And we are relatives. I was reading something today where people think that actually the Palestinian people are just, ancient Hebrews, the Hebrew tribe, that's where, the Jewish people come from, that were forced to convert to Christianity, and then ended up from Christianity converted into Islam. And we actually are the same people, and there's so much violence, and it's so horrible. And I hit 100,000 followers, and all of a sudden people are coming out of the woodwork and contacting me, people I grew up with in high school, and a lot of them are very upset with the things I have to say. Of course, I was brainwashed growing up when it came to Israel. I just thought, the Palestinian people got up and they just left, and they gave us Israel, and it was a happy ending, and it was all a good thing. And I just bought into all the kind of propaganda that Israel pushes, whether it's it only kills children because they're used as human shields, which, there is a hint of truth to that, but it's also served with a large cup of bullshit, and just about how all Palestinians are kind of terrorists, and they're just bad people, and they want to kill all Jews. And I just don't believe that things are so, definite like that. I don't think all Palestinians are people that want Jews to die and want to kill Jews. And it's hard because, now I'm getting comments about well, go to Gaza, see how they treat you in Gaza. And I mean, I hope if I went to Gaza, they wouldn't murder me. That would really suck. Like, I don't know what would happen if I went to Gaza. I hope I could, like, change people's perceptions and they don't think that all Jews just want to, like, kick Palestinians out of their homes. I just want a better world for all. And I just think that, you know, as a Jew, I need to represent my people in the right way, and that, like, too many people are just, like, complicit with the fundamental human rights abuses of the Palestinian people, and it isn't cool, and it isn't right, and it needs to stop, and I hope I can make a positive difference, but I do not want to incite any violence against Jews anywhere. I don't want to incite violence against Israelis either. Violence, I don't think, is the answer. People think it is the answer. People think that the only way things are going to change is through violence, but there has been violence over the last 75 years, and Palestine has only shrunk, and the West perception of the Palestinian people has only gotten worse, and it continues to get bad whenever there's a terrorist attack. And it's hard for people to, you know, focus on the atrocities and the war crimes that Israel commits when acts of terrorism on Jews are happening all over the world, and they are happening especially, you know, in Israel. And I hope they stop, because I really want there to be a better world. And, like, I don't believe in, like, you know, Judaism, which is weird because, like, I've really, like, taken this upon myself and, like, to be almost like a spokesperson for Jews, because I don't like how Judaism is being used to, like, silence criticisms of Israel, and also just to, like, you know, allow Israel to, like, do whatever it want without, like, any repercussions, because then it just hides behind, like, oh, you're anti-Semitic if you call us out, which I think is bullshit. And, you know, the more videos I make and the more people that talk to me, like, I do realize there is something horrible. If you talk out against Israel, you're anti-Semitic. If I talk out about Israel, I'm a self-hating Jew. Any sort of movies, TV show that talks about Palestinian trauma or that talks about Israel's human rights abuses is propaganda. It's like, what do you expect people to do? Of course they resort to violence when they're being silenced everywhere. We got to stop doing that. We can't silence them. We have to be secure enough as people to be able to admit to the wrongs that we've committed. And there are wrongs being committed right now. Now, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who I am no fan of, he's this ultra-nationalist member of the Israeli government that for some reason is in charge of Israel's police force, which is absolutely crazy because he's, like, been associated with terrorists. He's been convicted of that. He, like, hates Arabs, and he's been very vocal about it. He used to have a picture up in his house of, like, a guy who, like, went into a mosque and killed, like, nearly 30 Arabs. Like, he's a horrible guy. He stole a piece of Yitzhak Rabin's car because, you know, he was mad that Rabin wanted peace. Anyways, and now he wants to make it that the police could take away any Palestinian flags, that they can't show their flags, they can't show their people. How can we say it isn't an apartheid? These aren't, like, oppressed people. We're not trying to ethnically cleanse them. We're not trying to drive them out of the land when they can't even wave their flags. They can't show their flags without now Ben-Gvir is given, like, Israel just, like, carte blanche to, like, take away people's flags, if attack Palestinians if they're waving a flag. And it's just like, it's not just, Palestine isn't a terrorist country. We got to stop propagating this bullshit that I know Itamar Ben-Gvir wants to, and other people in Israel want people, and, you know, other Jews, they want people to think that, like, all Palestinians are terrorists, but it's not true. And they should be able to wave the flag. And actually, the flag wasn't allowed to be waved for a very long time because it was associated with terrorism until the Oslo Accords in 1993. And then that stopped, and it was permitted, and people could wave the flags, and they could show the flags in support of, you know, a free Palestine, and having the Palestinian people having self-determination, having their own country, having their own place. And then Itamar Ben-Gvir now wants to stop them from waving the flags. And then, like, how is this at all a reflection of wanting peace? Because that's what I always hear. People are like, oh, well, Palestinians don't want peace. Israel's the only one that wants peace. They've offered peace. And yes, they've offered peace on their terms. And maybe if they were a little more open to what the Palestinians wanted, there could be some semblance of peace. Of course, the closest we came to peace was stopped when an Israeli killed Yitzhak Rabin. But nevertheless, I don't see how preventing Palestinians from waving flags is going to help the peace process. And it's just going to worsen the perception of Jews in Israel across the world when they think we're so oppressive to these people. They can't even show a flag. They can't even wave a flag. They can't even have their own country or have their own identity because we want to strip that away from them. And I think it's horrible. And I think all Jews should be speaking out against this. And this is just the wrong direction. And it's only going to lead to horrible things to Israel. And we want Israel to exist, and if it's going to exist, it's not going to do so by constantly oppressing the Palestinian people, so that needs to stop. Yeah, that was probably a lot. I'm insecure about talking too fast, and I'm also insecure about there being pauses. It's difficult, just to be doing this here by myself. I don't even have Phil anymore to play off of. But, I want to create. I want to make things. It's important to me to be an artist, to be a comedian and an actor and a podcaster and a writer. And these are the things that I'm passionate about. And these are the things that I want to pursue. And I just can't let little hiccups stop me. And I think the thing that's most important to me is feeling that, I tried and knowing that I tried. So this is me. I'm trying to do something. I hope people care about what I have to say. And I hope that I could make people laugh, make people think, and, have a positive impact on this crazy freaking world that we live in. One thing I found, I had this job and I was working with this girl, and I found out that her boyfriend was a Harlem Globetrotter, and that excited me for some reason beyond belief. I can't believe how excited I was that somebody was dating a Harlem Globetrotter, like they were dating Indiana Jones or something. And I wonder if, when they're getting it on, if he puts on, the Harlem Globetrotter music, because if I was a member of the Harlem Globetrotters, I would do that, every time I met a girl at a bar, I'd take her back to my, hotel or whatever, my apartment, and as things were steaming up, I just start playing that Harlem Globetrotter music, and then I would get at it. Anyways, I like Harlem Globetrotters for some reason. Are there girl Harlem Globetrotters? I would love to date a girl Harlem Globetrotters. How do I meet one? Do I got to start going to the Harlem Globetrotter games and waiting? Is it a mixed league? What if there's a woman that wants to be a Harlem Globetrotter? I don't know. I got to look more into this, but if you're a young girl out there listening to the podcast, I appreciate that. It's probably not appropriate. Don't slide into my DMs. But if you want to grow up to be a Harlem Globetrotter, go for it. So let's see. What else do I want to talk about with you guys today? I talk a lot about, Palestinian human rights and about, Israel's crimes against Palestinians and their mistreatment. And there definitely has been some, and I wish it was acknowledged a lot more. And, people speak out about it. A lot of people are like, oh, well, this is going to be bad for you. This could be bad for your comedy career. First of all, people are like, oh, you're just doing this to try to get Palestinian people or Muslim people to like me. And I'm just like, that makes no sense. I'm not doing this to get people to like me. I'm doing this to make a positive impact on the world. All right. I'm not here for just likes. While it was very nice, it felt good to have 100,000 followers. I'll probably make a video today or tomorrow where I'll lose 10,000 or whatever. So I'm here to speak my mind and to be a creative. That's what's important to me. So it's really crazy to me when people are like, oh, when the shit goes down, they're gonna kill you too. First of all, I don't think this shit's gonna go down, and that's just a weird and sick and twisted mentality and way to live your life. But anyways, people are like, oh, you speak out against Israel, it's not gonna be good for you. I don't know, maybe that's true. I was asked to be on the Comedy Cellar podcast. I did the podcast. The Comedy Cellar is the best comedy club in the world. I want to perform at the Comedy Cellar so bad. I've been trying to get in there. I've been trying to get an audition again, just on my thing that I want to try. I want to look back and know I tried. And even if I don't pass the audition, at least know, hey, I went for it. That's important to me. So I'm trying. They asked me to do the podcast. I thought it was great. The owner is a Zionist. He's not thrilled with my videos. I'm arguing with this guy who I want to impress so much. It was very stressful. I asked him to be on American Jew. I'm not sure if he will. I sent him a tape of mine that I'm hoping he'll pass on so I could get an audition at the Cellar. But again, I'm not worried about my opinions and my perspective and what I think is right. Having an impact on other things. I'm just trying to follow my heart. I hope it doesn't have a negative impact on me getting into the Cellar. But talking about Israel's crimes and speaking out against Israel does have negative impact on people's lives. And it did for Kenneth Roth. Kenneth Roth, who was the director of Human Rights Watch, and then was offered a fellowship at Harvard's Kennedy School, and then had it taken away because of him calling out, the atrocities that Israel has committed on the Palestinian people. And that's just absurd to me. And apparently, I was reading a piece that he wrote that he thinks it's because donors to the university didn't want that. And like that, we can't let the truth be stifled by money. That's just like what's been happening too much. And then when people say things like the Jews control the media, and people want to get all bent out of shape, but when we're preventing people from having fellowships, when we're stopping the truth from getting out, when we're shutting it down, no matter what people say, when we're trying to present this narrative that isn't true, it's like, oh man, it's like, fuck, when there's smoke, there's a little bit of fire. And well, I don't believe that Jews control the media. And I think that's a stereotype that's often used as an anti-Semitic way. We can't do anything that makes it seem like that either. I feel like that's so important, We gotta steer away. If somebody accuses you of something, don't do things that are like the thing that you got accused of, Like, you have to be on extra guard to be even, more careful. I mean, that's what I think. Maybe that's an unfortunate thing in life, and you shouldn't have to live your life that way. But hey, if someone accuses you of like stealing something, be careful not to have something caught in your pockets that doesn't belong to you. All right? Because like, don't even like look at something the right way because you've had these horrible accusations of theft. Anyways, I think it's crazy that he lost his fellowship. I mean, I don't know if I've lost opportunities for speaking out. I hope I don't, but I don't want to live my life where I'm biting my tongue because I'm afraid something I'm going to say is going to get me canceled in this woke, America or woke world that we now live in. I just want to be true to myself, and true to myself when I say there's nothing I hate more. I think, well, there are things that I hate more, but one of the things I really hate is when people don't clean up after their dogs. Oh my gosh, I think I've said this before, but if you don't clean up after your dog, you're the piece of shit. I mean, I don't believe in hell, but if there is one, I hope there's a very special place for dog owners that don't clean up after their dog and pick up their dog's shits. I hope they just like in a room like up to the neck of shit and they're constantly drowning on it. I don't know. I haven't given a lot of thought into this horrible torture that I think dog owners that don't clean up after their dog should have. But I definitely think that they should have something horrible happen to them because it's disgusting. Don't you have any consideration for other people? You know how many people's days you've ruined because they've stepped, not to mention shoes you've ruined, and people say, oh, you can wash it off, but that stuff gets in like the nooks and crannies of your shoes. You'll never get it out. It's disgusting, and you're just a horrible person if you do that. So shame on you, I'm saying. Shame, shame, shame on you. Usually I would do some nerding out with Phil, but there is no Phil, so just nerding out by myself. I'm watching The Bad Batch. It's a Star Wars cartoon. It's all right. I liked it better, but now they like threw a kid in it. It's I don't know how I feel about it. Now one of the clones is like a little girl that they're with. It's not as fun as I felt like the show was originally when it was just like The Bad Batch, which were like these groups of clones that were like anomalies or something, and like each one has like a quirky personality or specialty or whatever, but then they team them up with some kid clone, I guess, to make it more like child friendly. But I do love Star Wars stuff. It was just making me thinking how like I wish there was always either a Star Wars show or a Marvel show on. I'm just like so into those universes. And I step up the content, Marvel. I'm really excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania coming out next month. It's going to be the beginning, I think, of Phase 5, and it looks awesome. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Majors, who's playing Kang the Conqueror, the villain. So we're going to see him in that. Apparently Bill Murray's in it, who's amazing. And it's going to kick off the next phase, and I have high hopes. It looks really cool. It's going into like the quantum verse or whatever, so it's going to be like a different universe within the Marvel universe. Looks like it's going to have like cool critters and Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer. I've always been a huge Michael Douglas fan, by the way. Great actor. I loved him since like Romancing the Stones. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but you should definitely see it and check it out. Other than that, things are going good in my life. I did get ghosted again by a girl that I only went out with a couple times. But, I realized that she wasn't really a nice person. She was visiting, and, there was a red flag with her when we went out one time, and I just, kind of, chose to ignore it because I didn't want to make a big deal. It was our first date. She had invited her friend, and then, we were all talking, and then all of a sudden she got up, and she, went and was talking to some guy, and I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? I'm like, should I just leave? This is, not cool. But I was like, oh, well, maybe she's trying to, set up her friend or whatever. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. As soon as she came back over, her friend went and was talking to that guy. But that was a huge red flag to me. I feel like I should listen to my instincts more when that happens. But I wanted to give this girl the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it was our first date. I didn't have ownership of her. But then she was always calling me late at night, very late at night, texting me very late at night, which I wasn't such a huge fan of because I felt like we weren't there in our relationship yet. But I still kept it cool and was still going to make an effort with this girl while she was here. But then it just seemed like she just wanted someone around for her convenience and wasn't really serious and wasn't treating me with the respect I wanted. So it wasn't such a loss that she ghosted me. I decided to just be upfront and honest with her. And I told her, hey, I thought you were cool. I thought we had a connection, I wanted to explore that, but whatever. And then I've been dating some other girls lately. It's been a good new year so far when it comes to ladies. I'm just trying to be in the moment and have a good time. Of course, I'm still looking for that special someone, but I'm open to what I come across and meeting new people and learning new things and having new experiences along the way. But I hope that I, find my true love somewhere out there if I haven't romanticized the whole thing too much and put this woman that I haven't even met yet on some imaginary pedestal that's only going to cause me more problems. And I just want to be authentic and I just want to be genuine with women. And I'm a sweet guy. I really am. I just want to be sweet to girls. But I really do not believe they like that, especially in the beginning phases of a relationship. And as much as I hate it, I think being a little bit aloof, being standoffish, not giving too much too soon is the way to go with ladies. And it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. I fought it, and I told myself, no, you just be true to yourself, Jonathan. Be who you are. Express your feelings. If you're interested, show interest. But I feel like the more I do that, the less luck I have with somebody. And whenever I pull back, they, want to get involved, and I have more luck. So it's a sad state of affairs, but it's the reality in which we live. Anyways, I'm Jonathan Randall. How you like me now?